Because as soon as this stuff changes, there's going to be a heck of a lot less roofing companies out there to be able to help these people.
All right, what's up, everyone? I'm here with Zach and Alex, owners of Lifetime Roofing Companies, and they're here to talk about a huge win that they just had in terms of contractor rights in the United States and standing up for First Amendment rights and really advocating for contractors everywhere. So I am super excited to hear their story and be able to share it with you, the audience. What's going on, guys?
What's happening?
How you doing, Joe?
How are you?
Hey, first and foremost, thank you so much for having us on the program. We love the content you're putting out there. We love to see entrepreneurs in the roofing marketing place reaching out there to help other contractors. It's a great thing you're doing.
Super excited about the big win. This is huge for the industry, and we'll get into kind of some of the specifics. But we were just happy to be able to kind of stand up and do this for contractors across the board and homeowners alike.
Awesome. Yeah, great to connect. And I'm excited to hear the story and hear how everything unfolded. But first, let's give the audience a little bit of a context as to who you guys are, where you're at, what's going on, what your company's like. And just kind of give us a little bit of an intro.
Sure. So I'm Alex Gearhart. This is Zach Willard. We're the co-owners of Lifetime Quality Roofing. We have several companies throughout the United States, including Lifetime Quality Roofing and Storm Restoration out of Columbus, Ohio, Lifetime Quality Roofing Pittsburgh, and Gale Force Roofing and Restoration out of Tampa, Florida. We're also expanding into the Cincinnati, Dallas, Fort Worth, and Orlando marketplaces. So, we're growing like a weed. It's very, very exciting times. We're also a top 50 largest, at least revenue-related roofing companies in the United States. And we've won several accolades. We're the third fastest privately held company growing in Columbus, Ohio. We've hit several Owens Corning awards and some of those different Westerville and city awards that we have behind us here. But really who we are is we're a company that from day one, from inception really, had decided that we wanted to focus on the customer first and put profits aside. And when you're running a business, that's a very hard thing for some people to stomach. But what we know is when you provide a quality product and you focus on a customer-centric business, you take care of people, you provide a superior service, that the money will follow. And so we've been able to double or triple our revenue year after year since 2015. We encompassed over $30 million last year in revenue. And we're just out there trying to do the right thing. We like to be able to sleep at night. We like to be able to take care of our customers as if they were our family. When we put a roof on, I like them to think that they had just hired a family member to do their roof. And we always tell them, hey, welcome to the Lifetime Quality family, because we're putting on a Lifetime Quality shingle. We offer a lifetime warranty, and you're gonna remember us for a very, very long time. So that's just kind of a quick snapshot of who we are.
From an internal standpoint too, we're super big on company culture. Providing an environment where people can thrive and grow. That's one of our favorite things, is seeing people come into the company that may be unhappy with their current positions and grow exponentially, and helping them kind of, go into new markets and have something that they can call their own. That's very important. So culture is number one. Our number one core value is personal happiness. So that's something we promote in our office at all times.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, you've got to focus on culture when you're building a company that fast and that big in different locations. And a lot of times in the roofing industry, as you guys know, finding the right people and retaining the right people is really one of the hindrances to growing. So you figure that out and really focus on your people, on your clients. It sounds like you got a winning formula.
For sure.
Yeah, we actually do it a little differently with our sales guys than we feel a lot of other companies do it. We've heard of mass hirings. Companies bring in 40, 50 guys. They give them a less than a day of training, hand them a ladder and some boots and say, hey, good luck out there. We have a comprehensive 7-day training we put our guys through. We have months of in the field and in the office assistance that we give them, different trainings, different CRM systems that we use and how to use those and trainings on those. We really try to put professionals in the marketplace. Beyond that, we teach people how to grow businesses inside of our business. We bring in different professionals, CPAs and health professionals and, insurance professionals, and you name it. And we teach our guys everything from top to bottom of how they can get preferential tax treatment, how if, they would ever, God forbid, fall off a roof or get into a car accident. People die every day, that their families are going to be taken care of in those instances. And we just try to provide a vehicle that they can really truly go out and reach their dreams and hit their career goals, and a place where they can be for a very, very long time, and a good place to work. We have employees come in every day, and big smiles. They thank us for providing them with a fantastic place to work because they had never been taken care of like this. We go on company trips. We actually have 30 of our sales guys and some managers going on a trip to Lake Norris here in August for 4 days, where we're providing everything. We rented 2 giant houses on the lake, and we're taking them out on the boats. And we did rented houseboats last year, took them on a trip. We do a yearly trip to the Caribbean as an incentive trip that all the salespeople go on that hit their numbers. We're going to be taking 86 people this year. So, wow. We're basically going to be the whole airplane going down to the Caribbean this year. It's really exciting. It's fun stuff. We try to be a big family, and we really back it. Now, we know the cliche. Every single company you ever speak with is going to tell you how great the company culture is, and we actually try to live it. We like our lives. I don't want to come to work and be stressed out. This isn't just about money. It's amazing watching somebody else be able to go give their children what their parents weren't able to provide for them, or buy the house that their wives have always wanted, or, so forth and so on. I mean, we really try to strive to give people just a better life in general.
That's so great. Yeah. I mean, for what it's worth, I know you don't need any validation really from me, but we've worked with a lot of companies and have talked with a bunch, and a lot of companies that are kind of at your level and bigger and, getting up to the $100 million mark. Like, they're focusing on the same things. They're focusing on people and culture and training and the family atmosphere. So you guys are definitely on the right track with that. So great stuff.
That's great.
So let's dig into it. You guys had a big win on Sunday. Zach, you messaged me, I think, on Monday, talk about it a little bit, and here we are. So I'll open it up to you guys. What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, let's give a little background to the bill. I mean, SB 76 was first kind of proposed back in January 25th. It went through a lot of different refinements through different committees before it got to the final legislative level where it was going to go into the Senate and the House. It was a bill that was pretty much limiting contractors' communication to customers about truthful information for alternative funding options or insurance, stopping us from being able to provide that avenue for customers to get their roofs replaced. So it's something that we felt was a direct violation of our constitutional rights, our First Amendment freedom of speech, and we had to take a stand against it.
And a quick snippet of this too. So they've been trying to introduce different bills throughout the last 10 years that were very similar language to these. The actual part that violated our First Amendment rights really wasn't thrown in until the last day of session in the legislative process. And the day before that, they had been talking about changing all roofs over 10 years old in Florida to ACV policies. And the next time a hurricane comes through, we all know what that would have done from an insurance roofer standpoint or an insurance restoration standpoint. That would have been thousands of homeowners that lost tens of thousands of dollars. So literally millions of dollars lost in, replacement cost value on those roofs for premiums that they've been paying for years.
Yeah.
And it's really just wrong. So it got down to that last day. It started to be gummed up in the legislative process. And because of all the proponents to it, they knew if they didn't get it done that last day of session, that this thing would get kicked to the next legislative year, which would have taken place literally the next calendar year. And whatever deal happened the day before, they came to that last day and said, well, hey, we'll change up basically these ACV schedules for, this, hey, we're going to limit the ability of roofing contractors specifically, to go out and help homeowners and educate them on insurance claims, to use them to get their storm damage replaced on their homes, and limit their marketing and solicitation abilities. And, just because we're a roofing contractor, that prohibitive kind of speech, I mean, that violates our First Amendment rights. When somebody else can come out to your house just because they're not a roofing contractor, whether they be a window salesman, your barber, your next door neighbor, your mechanic, your brother, they can tell you, hey, you're missing 50 shingles on your roof. You have an insurance claim. You should call your insurance company. They should be replacing it.
For sure.
And just giving them the truthful information about, how, what, and why. And since we're roofing contractors, we couldn't do that. And we saw a clear violation of our civil rights. And we're not ones to just lay down. We're going to go fight for what we believe in and what's right. And what we saw was the effects not only on roofing in Florida, and the average homeowner doesn't know any of this stuff. Mm-hmm. So we are a roofing company by trade, yes, but we're educators too. Helping people find truthful alternatives to help fund their roofs that have damage, that have the proper damage on them. There's a lot of blue collar, hardworking roofers in Florida. We have families, we have employees, they have families, we have our laborers to go put the roofs on, they have families. There was millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars that was going to come out of the Florida economy that roofers are generating. Roofers pay the highest insurance premiums and workers' comp premiums of anybody in the industry in Florida. Yeah. There's just hundreds of millions of dollars that were about to be pulled away, and then hardworking Americans, blue-collar Americans in Florida, were facing not being able to put food on their tables because they had 3 weeks to change their entire business model and the way of life. And you can only spend so much money on Google Ads. It was just wrong. The thing was wrong from top to bottom. They targeted the wrong people.
So let's run through the timeline a little bit of how the bill kind of went. So we talked about January 25th. It was proposed. It went through the legislature process until they finalized the bill, and they sent it over to the House and the Senate. Made it through voting there. Got all the way to Governor DeSantis' desk on June 11th, which he signed that into law. On that same day, Gale Force Roofing and Restoration filed a violation of our constitutional rights lawsuit. We were the only contractor at the time to do that. We were the first contractor. We felt very strongly. We have kind of a saying here at our company, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I think that was one of the conversations that we had to have was, this is going to make us a little uncomfortable. We're going against the state of Florida on something that we feel passionately about, but we couldn't not do it. We had to do it. We had to do it for our employees. We had to do it for, our homeowners. We had to do it for contractors alike. So that was very important for us. So on June 11th, it was signed into law. We filed that lawsuit. And on July 11th at 2:30 p.m., the judge ruled by a preliminary injunction that law was unconstitutional, or portions of that law that had to do with contractors were unconstitutional. So what that does for us is it prevents the Florida Department of Business and Professional Regulation, or the DBPR, from enforcing sections 489.147 of the Florida statutes, with the Section 2, Section 3, and Section 4. Section 2 has to do with prohibitive advertisements and solicitation. Section 3 has to do with the violation or the fines for that. And Section 4 has to do with who violates and how.
And we are not lawyers, so anybody that's listening, please go out and speak to your attorney before you go out and start soliciting roof claims so that you know how to handle these things and deal with them appropriately.
Okay, got to have the disclaimer in there for sure. All right. So, I'm not an attorney either, just for the record, if that's necessary. So that's amazing. So this whole thing seems like it was targeted. Like where did this come from? Did it come from insurance companies? Like where did it originate?
So there was an OIR, and that's the Organization of Insurance Regulation in Florida. And basically what they did was, the Office of Insurance Regulation. Basically what they did was they had this report. They sent out a survey to all the insurance companies in Florida. And when they did, they got only a 58% rate of people actually participating into this survey. And they ran around and they said, hey, we got this survey. The research says that $40 billion of insurance money is being paid out in fraudulent claims a year, 10% of all claims. And that's what the literature that they gave to all the senators and the representatives of the House in Florida when they were talking about getting them to vote on this law. And what it came down to in court, the judge asked our opposition, hey, what percentage of this $40 billion relates directly to roofers? Because this thing contained health insurance, automobile fraud, you name it, insurance fraud of every category. And they couldn't tell you because they didn't do any research into how much of this is being caused by roofers. And their entire argument during the case was, well, there's $40 billion of fraud, and this is going to help stop the fraud. And actually, when they said that, the judge said, Well, yeah. Well, if we also limited the ability of homeowners to call in claims, period, that would also reduce the amount of insurance claims being filed, but that doesn't help home.
Well, I think it needs to be said too that that $40 billion worth of fraud that they're talking about incorporates multiple industries. It's health, it's auto, it's every industry that you could possibly talk about. But they singled out roofers in this. And the judge gave an analogy that you don't lay claymores through your entire yard if you're trying to kill rabbits and kill everything. It just doesn't make any sense to do it like that. So the bill was essentially targeting contractors to get rid of all insurance fraud and limiting our ability to communicate and provide that, truthful information to customers about their alternative funding options. And it was wrong.
And they had no basis for saying like why it's fraud or anything to back that up.
No. They had no basis that it had anything to do with roofers marketing, roofer solicitation, anything. They just know that roofers help homeowners, assist them, tell them they have damage. And even when they were doing the signing of the bill, and I'm not going to name any direct names, but a particular senator and House representative who were backing the bill, who were also the same, it was the same House representative that pushed through AOB reform last year. If anybody knows anything about Florida and the insurance laws down there, that was a very big deal. So they had actually commented how many less claims that were going to be received, basically paraphrasing here, how many less claims were going to be filed because roofers couldn't tell homeowners that they have storm damage anymore and file a claim.
And I think it needs to be said that Gale Force and the lifetime quality umbrella of companies is firmly against the manipulation of the insurance market in any way, especially insurance fraud. These manipulations hurt upstanding companies, upstanding individuals. So we definitely are against that, just like the state of Florida was, but they didn't go about doing it the right way.
Yeah, it seems like it was definitely targeted. So this thing happened on July 11th where the judge kind of made his ruling. Is it something that's going to stick, or is this still kind of an open conversation, or what?
From here, they can appeal. It'll go to final judgment, and they can appeal. The state can appeal. They can take it to the appellate court. But the ins and outs of this are, it's going to be very hard to infringe and prohibit free speech. This is our First Amendment right we're talking about. And, this really does set a precedent for the entire country. They flew in some big DC lawyers to back them. And, when it came down to it, we have a remark from one of the opposition's attorneys, and he said that the pillars of the republic would not fall because of this law. And the judge jumped up and said, no matter what kind of speech in my courtroom, we will respect the First Amendment. And we some jaws dropped. So, this is a very big win. And this isn't just a big win for roofers in Florida. I mean, it truly is for roofers in Florida because a law just passed there. This kind of legislation is trying to be passed in every single state. And nothing against insurance companies, but they have a lot of money. There are a lot of people being paid profits. And they're making some big decisions, and they, with deep pockets comes the ability to sway things in your favor in a political arena. It does.
And providing truthful information to our customers is something that we will always be able to do, and something that we want to make sure that we will fight to the very end. So Gale Force is in this. We've had contractors and people reach out to try to give us donations and money, and it's something that we don't necessarily need. We have it. But we want contractors to band together in the future to make sure that this never goes any further, or something like this doesn't spring up. We were appalled at the amount of people that just didn't do anything about it, honestly. There was no structure for contractors, especially restoration contractors, to band together and be a part of something. So we're really pushing for the industry to come together, to be a whole, to unite and make sure something like this never happens again.
And if you talk to Doug Quinn from the American Policyholders Association, he'll even tell you, the insurance companies all work together, every single one of them. They all put out statistics, and their actuaries work together and everything else. And, they have engineers, and they have lawyers, and they have adjusters, and they have all these professionals. And on the other side of the equation is little mom and pop that own a house, have been paying insurance premiums for 30 years, and don't know anything about their insurance policy other than they had to buy an insurance policy on their home in case their house catches on fire. And there's just a heck of a lot more to it than that.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's an interesting concept that there's a lot of roofing companies in Florida. and you guys kind of jumped on this right away. It sounds like from day one. Obviously, you have a business there. Like you said, you're supporting employees and their families. You're supporting your clients and standing up for them. Was it something that you guys jumped on immediately, or was this something that you discussed and said, yeah, we've got to be the ones to step up and be leaders in this and not wait for maybe someone else to do it or not wait for something catastrophic to happen? Like, what was that decision-making process like?
Yeah, we filed the lawsuit immediately. I mean, we didn't wait around for anybody to do anything. We had discussions. We knew what was coming. It sat on Governor DeSantis' desk for quite a while before it was signed into law, and we had those preliminary discussions. Like I said, we got uncomfortable with the idea of doing something like this, and we said we have to stand up for our First Amendment right of free speech. We have to do it for our employees, like we said, homeowners, contractors, everyone. We have to stand up, and we felt we had a very strong case, and obviously we did.
Now, just because we filed the lawsuit against the DBPR, we have nothing against the DBPR whatsoever. They have always been very good to us. We have a couple of different licenses through them. It didn't really have anything to do with them. They're just the regulatory body that got put in charge of trying to regulate us, and that's why the suit went to them. So back in 2002, 2003, they did this. They changed all the workers' comp laws in Florida, and they basically made it worth not a lawyer's time to not file a lawsuit against the workers' comp of Florida. And then when people were getting hurt in another podcast, when people were getting hurt, they couldn't go get a lawyer. Well, this is going to be the same thing that happens when you drive all of the roofers out of Florida and a hurricane comes through. Who the hell is going to put all the roofs back on? There's going to be nobody. Our lawyer's parents got hit by Hurricane Michael in 2019, and they had to have a roofer travel in. They were in Pensacola, and they had to have one fly in or drive in from Tallahassee, pay for their room, board, travel, all expenses that they did not get compensated for from the insurance company to put their roof on because they couldn't get anybody else to do it for months and months and months.
So yeah, this had huge implications for everyone, and you guys stepped up, took leadership, took ownership of this, and really led from the front. So thank you for that. We've got lots of friends and clients in Florida and throughout the country that are going to benefit from a precedent like this, right? From a company, from two guys and your team and your colleagues involved in really stepping up and leading the charge on this. So. Awesome work. So what's next? Like if you're, roofing companies are listening to this, they're watching this and they're like, I love this. I want to get involved. Like, is there more work to do? Do you want, roofers to sign a petition or get involved in some, collaboration aspect, or, how can people, help?
So what they need to do is they need to reach out to their state representatives. They run a business, they pay taxes. Their right is to be able to reach out to the people that make the decisions, the political decisions in their state, and tell them how they feel. Have their families and their customers reach out and tell them the things that they did for them. Get petitions started. Do everything you possibly can, from pulling teeth to go out and door knocking your people's houses and letting them know these laws are going on. Because as soon as this stuff changes, there's going to be a heck of a lot less roofing companies out there to be able to help these people. And it's not going to be it's not going to be an economic landscape you want to be in.
Yeah, Joseph, case law is king, right? So grab that case law up from what just happened in Florida, that preliminary injunction, send it to your representatives, let them know, hey, if anything like this pops up in our state, we're against it, and we're going to make sure we make a hard push that it doesn't make it very far.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. I think the lesson there is you're not too small to affect change, right? You guys are a pretty good sized roofing company, but going up against insurance companies or the insurance industry, you're microscopic, and so are we, and so is everyone listening to this. So you're never too small to make change happen. So what is it? Be that change that you want to see in the world. I think you guys definitely embrace that.
Well, we have a quote as a company. It's challenge is what makes life interesting. Overcoming those challenges is what makes life meaningful. So we felt like this was one of those things that we just couldn't step back from, that we had to be the first in line to make sure this didn't go any further. And we're stronger in numbers. That's why we're being huge advocates for contractors banding together and getting this, getting the word out there about our First Amendment rights, or future bills that may pop up to stop contractors from being able to provide truthful information to customers.
In every marketplace, everybody sees every other roofing company as their competition and the enemy, and it's not true. There's always going to be a competitive edge in the marketplace if you're a good company, you provide a superior service, and you do it just a little differently than everybody else. And like I said, the other people in your market are not your enemies. We have conversations with the other roofers in our marketplace, and we are not out there fist fighting in the streets. We talked as soon as this bill popped up in Ohio, because we had a similar bill about contractor licensing. They had slid in language, relating to insurance deep in the bill so that people really wouldn't see it, wouldn't focus on it. And as soon as it started popping up, we reached out to everybody and said, hey, we got to fight this thing. Reach out to your representatives. Everywhere you pay taxes, reach out to your representative and tell them why. And right after we got that word out, we sent out email communications. I got on the phone and I called the representative, and I got on the phone with them within 15 minutes. They said, hey, he's busy right this second. Can you call back in 15 minutes? I said, absolutely. And I gave them the whole spiel of why this was wrong, why prohibitive language and trying to limit what I can tell a person just because of my profession is discrimination against my First Amendment rights. And as soon as you say discrimination against your civil rights, people's ears perk up and they listen. And in a lot of instances, well, can you point out where it does this, where it does that? And I said, yeah, I'm a roofer. Here's the line where it says I can't do X, Y, Z because I'm a roofer, and it's not for the good of the state. Because that's part of this. The state has a burden to show why this prohibition or this adverse effect on our constitutional rights is going to help the state in some way, and they couldn't. They couldn't prove it, and that's part of the reason we received our injunction.
They failed to regulate speech within the bounds set by the Constitution. They just didn't have a good case.
Absolutely.
Awesome. I love it. And yeah, you guys mentioned Doug Quinn at the APA, American Policyholder Association. Doug, Heather, and the whole team there, they advocate for this sort of education, and contractors advocating for themselves and for their clients, and really standing up for their rights. So it sounds like you guys are on the same page there. So
yeah, Doug Quinn actually has one of the best stories I've ever heard relating to an insurance company. I believe it was a hurricane hit his own home, and 7 years later is when he finally received compensation for a total loss on his home. Because things were not done the right way when dealing with his claim. And that's what drove him to try to help other people. There's lots of other components to this that we're not even scathing the surface of. How many families would have been put on the street or had to go find other employment that have been doing this for decades because a politician hundreds of miles away decided that it was better for the insurance companies to save money than it was to keep hardworking American roofing companies in Florida in business.
That's really what motivated us. Joseph, to be honest with you, we've seen all too often people in Florida not being taken care of by their insurance companies. There was a point in time when we first went down there to establish a physical location that we went out to somebody's house that had tons of storm damage. They had 20 tarps on the roof, and there was a hole in the ridge, and there was a plastic bag pushed down in that hole. And we asked the homeowner, what's going on with that plastic bag that's under your house? And he said, well, that's what the insurance adjuster told me to put in that hole to stop the leaking from getting in. So by us not being able to provide that information to customers, it's really doing them a disservice.
Yeah, well, it sounds like those values that you guys have are going to serve you and serve the market and your team in the long run. And you guys are 6 years in, and it sounds like you're kind of just getting started. So what's next for Lifetime Roofing Companies?
We're shooting to be the first $1 billion roofing company. I know a few people have said it, but we're the ones that are we're on that train to get there. We're expanding into other markets. Like Alex said, we're going to be in the Dallas, Texas, Fort Worth market, Cincinnati, Orlando as well. If there's anybody in those markets or any of the markets we're currently in, Columbus, Pittsburgh, Tampa, we are looking for top performers to grow our company. We have tons of incentive-based bonuses, trips, Rolexes. We have guys making over $750,000 a year that are just salesmen that aren't even running their own location. This is the modern day gold rush. You know it. We know it. It's pretty unbelievable, and we want to make sure that we're always providing a vehicle for people's success.
Man, well, there you have it. We're going to pop the links below the video, wherever you're watching it or wherever you're listening to it. We'll make sure that we have links to these guys' websites to inquire if you're looking to join forces with this juggernaut. And with that, I guess we can kind of wrap it up, guys. Anything you want to kind of finish up on?
Hey, stand up for your rights. Stand up for what you believe in, and we'll continue to do the same.
And for all the roofers out there, continue to do the right thing. it's roofers that do the wrong thing that make a lot of this stuff happen in the first place.
The right thing is always the right thing. So good stuff, guys. Thanks so much for sharing. Looking forward to getting this out there and sharing it with the world.
Thanks so much for having us. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Joseph. Really appreciate it.
Likewise.